Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am AttiDude back in another video, and in today's video we're gonna be learning about arrays in C#. If you haven't liked, share, subscribe my channel yet, do it now. I'll provide more content like this. So without any further ado, let's get started. First thing that we're gonna do is to delete everything inside of the main function. Save the class. First of all, let's understand what are arrays and where can they be useful. For example, if you not just want one number to be stored in a variable, but you want a list of many numbers to be stored inside of a variable. For example, if you want to keep track of the player's health or maybe player's score. But we're gonna talk about multiplayer, not single player, because in multiplayer there are lots of people, and if we're gonna keep track of their scores, we just don't know how many of these elements are gonna be, so we create an array, which is basically a variable that stores a number of different type of variables. Not variables, but actually data types, or no, not data types, but certain types of values, but they are all gonna be of same type. Let's have a quick look at that. And for now, we're gonna keep track of the name of the players. So first of all, we need to define the data type of the variable that is gonna be string. Then we open and close the square brackets, and we're gonna name this. We need an identifier. I'm gonna name this names, or maybe players, more suitable name. And if we know what these purpose is, then we can leave these here. But if we don't know currently, then we can just define this somewhere in the function. We're gonna cut this and gonna say strings, paste this, and we're gonna make this private because I want to set it private. And don't worry, in the next video I'm gonna talk about, not in the next video but in a later video, we're gonna talk about these access modifiers. So in here we're gonna write players. We can't actually take these in because of the static keyword. It is not gonna let us input in anything. We're gonna paste this here, and we don't need private. We don't need private because we're not defining anything yet. This will already be private. I'm gonna delete the comment, go down to the bottom, and this array is completely empty because we have not defined it. And now we're gonna define players equals to new array, string array, and we need to pass in some of the values. For example, I just want two names to be here, and we can just leave this as it is or add this in. And here we're gonna first of all write first string, that is gonna be AttiDude, and the second string is gonna be please subscribe my channel. These are gonna be two players that are currently playing a game. Just imagine that. It's not happening really, but just imagine. And like these, we have stored two of these strings inside of one variable. If we are having to debug, not in debug, but console.writeline, debug.log is inside of Unity, not in C#. And here we can pass in our variable, which is players. And if we hit play, or run the program, not hit play, and we see system.string. We expected this to return us these strings, but it didn't return. Also add in console.read key, read line, not read key. And now we're gonna have a for loop onto these so that we can print them out. So for, you can just tab twice and it will automatically give you the syntax. This is called snippet, but I don't like it. And the variable that we have, we currently don't have, we need to create one, and I'm gonna name this int index equals to 0. Currently the index should be at 0 until index is less than or less than equal to players.length. It should be less than, because if the length is 2 right here, then it will run 3 times. Until then, index should go plus plus, and curly brackets, parentheses. So what we're basically doing here is that defining a new integer, which is called index, and we're checking if index is less than player's length, and we've defined the string array. So this is gonna be 2 because we've defined them, and this number here will be its length. And in the index plus plus, we'll increment the index by 1 every one time when the whole thing, the loop, one iteration has been completed. And this will keep on looping until index is less than player's length. So this will be done 2 times. And whenever we are accessing the index of any array, index, this is basically called an index. Here it is not an index, but we cannot debug this like this. We need that element, the particular element. We need to extract that and then debug that or print that out. So we write players of I, simply I, not I but index, because we generally use I for short, index. And basically whatever we are getting the element, for getting the particular element, we use a number for an array, and that number is called the index. And this index is first gonna start with 0, that you need to thoroughly remember that any index of an array will start with 0, not with 1, and that is really important because I've seen beginners making mistakes in this, but trust me, it's simple, but you need to remember certain things. So in the 0, 1, we're gonna be printed this thing, AttiDude, and when the loop runs second time, that is the second iteration, we're gonna be printed this thing. Let's run. Yes, we got this, and this was what we expected, right? And we can even use a for each loop for this. Let's try with that. For each string, and we're gonna name this message in the array, which is gonna be players. Okay, and in here we can just console dot write line message. Hope it works because it's a bit buggy. It can be a bit buggy, but yes, it did work. And mainly it is used, the for each loop is used to get arrays or maybe even transforms in Unity to get all of the childs of a game object. Don't worry, I will make you understand the inheritance, hierarchy, everything in a later video. So this is the part 1 for the arrays. Arrays are basically of many types. They are just a simple array, list, loops, not loops, but queues, and many more. And we now gonna have another type, which is gonna be a list. And for that we need to add in a namespace called system.collections.generic. Make sure you have turned this button on, or you can press Alt A to toggle that on and off. And if you don't want this to happen, you can just manually go ahead here at the top and write the namespace, but I'm not gonna do anything. List of, we need to pass in the data type, and there's our variable defined. And for this we write players equals to new list of string. And as you can see, we can pass in the capacity for this. That means the number of elements inside of this list. And for now we just want 2. That is done. And I believe we can do like this, and list is not much used, but it is used a lot. Please subscribe my channel. Okay, it seems to be fine, working fine. And if we run, we should see it works. And just one more advantage using the strings, list, not strings, that formatting, that we can add elements to these at any point of time. It's not necessary like the original arrays to create a new array and then assign the element. It's not necessary for these, but we can add element at any time. For now, we're just gonna keep this 1 and delete this. If we display button, we see that's one only. Close this, I don't want this, and we can now write players dot add. That's simple. Add, and we can pass in the string value, and that is please subscribe my channel, a semicolon at the end to make sure that the line is ended, and there you go. And in the arrays, it's really hard to do that. There's one more feature which is really important, which is gonna be clear, which will clear out every element from that. And if we hit play, you see there's nothing because everything's clear. And for each, it's really important because we can loop through each of these, and yet a number. Add range is also very important, and you can get a lot of these. Capacity you can increase or decrease. You can check in if it contains, count, copy to, equals, find, exists, for each, which I showed you up above, index of, insert, remove all, which is same as clear, remove at, remove range, reverse, sort, to array, and we can just basically convert this to an array and then print out which, and this array refers to the standard array that we defined above and we removed. And we have also a function called toString which will convert that to a string and return as a string, trim the excess, and there are a lot of different functions which you can play with them anytime, but remember, don't play with these and mess up the whole .NET SDK. Just play with the code, nothing else. Okay? But I'm just gonna demonstrate to you for the remove at. We need to pass in the index, and the index we need is 2. Now the index should not be 2, because if the index is 2, it will go out of bounds because we don't have any. We're gonna copy this, comma, paste it, and basically write another sentence, please subscribe my channel. Okay, if we press in this button, we'll only see this, and if we just remove this 0, 1, we'll only see the second one because it basically removes the value at the 0 or 1 or whatever you've provided. You can insert a new one, a new element to that, and you see a lot of different features. Now we're gonna be printing out the whole string of the players. Console.writeLine, and we can write players dot, and we write toString. Okay, toString is basically a feature which is provided in most of the variables like int and you see this. Don't worry about that because it is not a proper variable, it will be a bit buggy. And to array, and it will still return system.string array, but now gonna be storing this list inside of an array. So let me create a new array, which is gonna be of type string array, players array, and we define this here, players array equals to players dot to array. It is a very handy function, and it can be really useful if you are working with meshes inside of Unity. Players array, you can type this in here and message. So we should now see that everything inside of the players list has been transferred to the players array and has been printed as a message. So this is the whole thing working, and this is it for today, guys. In the next video, we're gonna be learning about functions. If you haven't liked, share, subscribe my channel yet, do it now. I'll provide more content like this. I am AttiDude signing out.